about, for example, Facebook selling the data off to Cambridge Analytica or other means like that. So I'm going to spend sort of the rest of the session sort of going through first what ZBS CRM is, and a lot of you will probably use it already, and a lot of you already have extensions. But I just wanted to show you effectively a tour of everything that we do with the CRM. So I'm going to look at adding your first contacts, which is relatively easy. How custom fields and why you should really be using them, and because it extends the power of your CRM. Tags and filters, and then a little bit about the CRM dashboard, and then I'm going to give an example through like the quotes proposals, as well as like invoicing and billing, and then finally give you a little bit of an overview of some of the extensions that we've got. So I've got a few extensions installed and how we'd go about using them. So we have a questions tab, if anybody's seen that. So if you've got any particular questions, then you can ask those questions in that tab. And so that should really, so we've got the chat for same way you form, and just, but if you've got any specific questions, then they'll go in the questions tab. And then we can jump in and answer them. And if it's a common question that you've also got, then you can upvote that question and do it that way. So before further ado, so everyone's got audio. A few issues with the actual system that we're using for this. So hopefully everybody's still okay. I'm sure Woody will bash the doors down if not. So helping me with the webinar is Woody. So he's the other co-founder of ZBS CRM. So if you ask any questions, he'll be answering them. And I'll also pop back in here just to pick up any questions as well throughout the webinar. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the demo. So here's Zero BS CRM. It's a WordPress CRM that runs on your own server. So you're hosting your data, which is, you've got direct controls over who can access that. So it's only you or it's only your team, compared to giving it to an online CRM where they will have your data. So that's for us very important that you know that effectively you're looking after your data and any consequences is down to you, versus, as I said before, like a Facebook giving access to some of your data that you weren't aware of them doing. So this is the CRM. When you load it up, you'll be shown a dashboard which will be empty because you don't have any data in there. So I've got a populated CRM using some demo data. So this is all independent. It's all randomized. So there's no real data in here. So the first thing I wanted to cover is it sits in your WordPress. So it's hosted within everything else in your WordPress. So you can see it gives you your own little side menu and you can access everything through there. But we've also got our own menu across the top. And what a few of our users tend to do is if you click the little icon in the top left, then it'll go full screen. So I'm going to do the rest of the demo with it full screen so you can see a little bit easier. But if you need to go back at any time, you can just pop it back out into the normal WordPress. So the first thing I wanted to look at was just adding a contact. So I'll start off by going on the contact list. So this loads up everybody that you've got in your CRM. So I've got I've got myself and Woody, and then everybody else is just fictitious people that work at Zero BS CRM. I wish we had a team that big. So adding a new contact is really straightforward. So you can just click add new from anywhere, choose a status. So the CRM I've got set up with 3 statuses in. So lead, email, and customer. So if I make a new lead, and I can fill as much in as you want here, and I've got a couple of custom fields already, so I will show you again. Just do a random email. That's as easy as adding a new contact, and then it'll add. So because it's a made-up email, you won't see any gravatar there, so it all runs from like avatar systems, but you can override that with, if you actually have photos of your contacts. So that's that contact added straight away, and he will be in the list. So added straight away. So you can view him at any time and go back in and say, okay, this is my new contact, and there's no data. It's logged that he's been created, and that's how easy it is to add a contact. So I'll just quickly jump in. So no questions so far. That's good. So that's adding a contact, nice and straightforward. So from adding the contact, there's a lot of different things you can then do with the contacts. But before I go into that, I wanted to just jump into the custom fields. So say you're wanting to store a bit more information. There's a lot of settings with Zero BS CRM where you can control a lot of like how you want the WordPress menu to lay out, what currency you want your CRM to be in, which address fields you want to show. But then also to the left, you've got custom fields. So going on to custom fields, you can add in any additional custom fields here. So if you wanted to effectively food preference, for example, and then you could say vegetarian, vegan, or meat if they eat meat, and you can save it down at the bottom. And now you've got an additional custom field to be able to do. So if I add a new contact, then you could be able to see lower down that we have the ability to select a preference. So you can do your contacts. So if I say, okay, this new contact, again, he'll be a lead, Mrs. Michelle. This isn't my wife, if anyone's wondering. I'm making names up again. Making females. Save down the custom field. We've got another contact in the CRM who's vegetarian. And I go back to my list. So, and this is where it gets more useful, is when you look at your list, you say, okay, I've got the name and the avatar, the status, when they were added. But if you click the settings tab at the top right, it will bring in additional columns. So I can say, okay, I want to also be able to see people's food preference in that list. And then you can see what they've got at a glance there. So that's useful if you want to store more data on your contacts than is in there by default. You can add as many custom fields as you want, and you can capture the data and see it in your CRM. So that's the overview of the custom fields. We're still having a few issues with streaming and a couple of questions. That's quite good. So I'll just have a look at some of these. So Graham's asked, can ZBS pick up WP user custom fields? So if a user was also a customer and I wanted to view them all on the CRM. So you can actually do that via hooks. It isn't, the ZBS contact is independent from WordPress users. The reason for that is effectively, if you have a WordPress user, then you're giving them extra permissions to your site. So they'll be able to, if you have contributors or subscribers or authors or editors, and you've also got them as a contact, you'll be able to see that they're linked or not. So I'll show you on my version. So I'm a WordPress user, Mr. Mike Stott. So what it will show for anybody that you've got a WordPress user, on the edit contact page, it will say it's linked. So this person, I'm WordPress user ID 1, but it doesn't actually connect the fields on the actual profile page. It's all independent. And I'll get onto the client portal shortly. So the client portal is a feature of the CRM where you actually need to give a WordPress user. So if you had a customer that you wanted to have access to your WordPress, then you generate them a contact portal. It makes them a WordPress user, and it gives them a special permission of like ZBS customer, so they can actually get into your admin or anything that you wouldn't want them to do as a WordPress user. But also generally, if you're building up quite a large contact list, you may not want everybody to have a WordPress user. So that's why we kept it separate. Let's pick a couple of other questions. So David Fernald said, if I had a company, I had name and address. If I had a contact, I have to enter the address even when I link it to a company. Is there a way the address can pull through when you connect it to a company? Okay, so what we do with contacts and companies, so they are independent again, and I'll show you why on this one. So you've got myself and Woody here, both working for Zero BS CRM. We're both real contacts, and we've both got our own addresses. So we've also added a company. So adding a company is the same as adding a contact. So we've added our company, which is Zero BS Software Limited, and that has its own address as a company. But both of our contacts, we have effectively our own addresses, so we could have a different address. So you may want to effectively know where I am, and then if you logged on and looked at Woody, you might want to look at where Woody is. So we sort of keep them separately again from there. But if it depends on the complexity of your companies, David. So if you've got a company that's effectively you're just trying to log company names against contacts, then you could use custom fields instead of the whole B2B business to business setup. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with the demo and then I'll come back to some questions again a little bit later. So that was, I sort of touched a little bit on the company side as well. So adding companies is exactly the same as adding contacts, and it gives you this sort of extra overview where you can see which contacts work at the company and you can see them in their own independent lists. So if you're managing big companies, so for example, Diesel or your example or other where you might have 10 or 15 people working at a company, then this is an easier way of doing it. You don't need to try and do it in the contact list. You can sort of, you might have certain things to do with just a company that you want to follow through with. So that's the companies and the contacts. So I'm just now going to have a look at, so we talk about tags and filters. So there's a question saying about additional tags and can they delete tags? So I'll show you, I've got one tag on mine at the moment, and I've only done this simply to just make it easy to do. So a VIP contact, anybody that you add a tag, then it will come up as, you can filter those VIP people. So it's just one way of filtering. So you can also filter on status. So tags and filters are sort of the same thing. Apart from filters runs just from your status, and tags you can define yourself. So if you go into the tags page for your contacts, you can see I've defined VIP and you've got a number there. So if you wanted to add another one, like aliens, and this will become more apparent later why I'm sort of doing this. So vegetarians, and you can say, okay, view all. Because nobody's got that tag, you won't be able to filter it. So if I go back into this contact and add the tag of vegetarian, because we know they're a vegetarian pro, then you'll be able to filter your list based on any vegetarians. So it's another way of effectively seeing like quick filters on your list. So you can use this in other extensions later. So I'll show you a little bit about automations, but you can also use it in our mail campaigns where you can say, email everybody with the vegetarian tag or email everybody with the VIP tag. So it's just a way of segmenting and working on your data that way. So that's all there really is to filters. You can actually choose which additional filters you may want to filter your list on by clicking the tab at the side. So when I showed you what I had before, I was tracking really two 3 statuses: lead, customer, and emailed. But I also have some extensions that will effectively bring in whether the person's been refunded a transaction or whether their transaction has failed. So I do have some additional statuses that I could filter on if I wanted, but for now, you can define those in settings as well. So the same page as before, it was down on settings and custom fields. You can then say, okay, I've got some additional statuses down here that I want to effectively add as well. So tags and filters is just a way of bringing your list, refining your list if you needed to then work with the list. And then we've also got some date filters. These you can actually say, okay, I want to see all of my contacts in May 2018. This is a new feature that's, you can then say, okay, this is everybody that's been added as a contact in May. Or you can say, actually, who joined in October? So they're going all the way back. So depending on how many contacts you've got, this will bring up the people from whichever month have signed up. So that's pretty much all there is to tags and filters. So again, I'll just have a quick look in. So Chris has said, if I'd like to segment by industry, would I do that through tags, or would a custom field be better for that? That's a good question. So now that you can bring in your custom fields into the list, it's probably still better to, I'd say, to maybe use tags if you've got certain industries to be working on there, just for how it links into other extensions. And let's have another look. So yeah, so that's everything on there so far. Again, I'll come back a little bit later. Okay, so next up, I was going to look at the dashboard. So once you started getting data in your CRM, so I populated it with a lot of transaction data as well. So I'll give you a quick look at the transaction list. And again, remember, this is all demo data. So it's very similar to the contact list, but now you've got transactions. So in here, I've used like groceries as an example. So people are paying a lot of money for Mountain Dew. So this again is, this is our latest sort of transaction area. So I could say, show me everybody that's ever purchased ice cream. I'll go away and bring back everybody that's purchased ice cream. So this is, again, and it's the same with quotes and invoices. I'll be going onto those next. But transactions, if you were using something like WooSync, which connects to WooCommerce, that will bring in your transactions and contacts, and you'll be able to populate it that way. Or you can add them manually. So this is just, I've generated some random data, but if you're running WooCommerce, then WooCommerce can bring this in for you from your WooCommerce store. And I'll cover that a little bit later when I get to extensions. So the dashboard itself will show you an overview of your CRM. So it's like how many contacts have you got. I imported everybody as a customer in my demo. And then I've added some leads more manually. So you've got effectively a lot of contacts, a lot of leads, a lot of customers, and then some statuses in between. So this gives you the overview at the top of what you want to show there, as well as a sales funnel if you want to set that up to see how many of your leads you're actually bringing into down to the final stage of customer. So that's using the CRM for sales funnel sales, probably a little bit out of the scope of this demo, but this will give you an overview of effectively since you've had your CRM, how many contacts have you got and how many of those are you bringing through to customer. And then it's got your revenue chart, which is an overview of your transactions. So again, with the random data in there, this is how much you generate each month, just as a quick snapshot. So it's meant to be just an area where you can have a quick overview of what's going on, what are your latest contacts. So it gives you the last 10 or so contacts, and you can then go in and deal with them on a CRM basis, and it'll give you your recent activity. So you'll see on here, I've got some various quotes, quote accepted, status changed, so you can see what's going on there. So you can manage what's shown, again, by clicking this little tab. So you can say, I'm not really bothered about sales funnel, so let's hide that. Let's hide revenue chart. So you can just then run just from like a lighter dashboard if you want, or you can just keep all of the settings and just use it as we sort of intended to use it. It's meant to give you an idea of how you're doing each month compared to previous months, and generally you can just hop on and say, oh, I've had this many new leads, let me go and contact them this way. And so that's looking at the sales dashboard. So after that, I'm going to have a look and tell you through the quote system in the CRM. So far we've covered adding a contacts, custom fields, tags and filters, and then a little bit around the CRM dashboard. So what a lot of people tend to be using the CRM for is what we call quotes and invoices. So if you're a service business, you don't have to be a freelancer, but freelancers, people that maybe go and fit kitchens is another example. That will give you a way around. So you can use the CRM, you can then use our client portal, and you can use it for quotes to give people an idea of what you're going to do, and then invoices for billing them afterwards. So looking at the quote system, so again, I've done a couple of examples. So in my example here, I'm a kitchen fitter. So I'm quoting my customers on, I'm going to put you a new kitchen in. So under quotes, you'll see templates. So in quote templates, you can set up, we give a web sort of design example, but I've done a kitchen fitting quote template. So this will be what you're used to with a WordPress editor. So you can give your template a title, and you can fill in effectively what you want your quote template to be like, and you can use tags. So you can say, I want to put the customer name in this quote template. So this is a fancy kitchen with all the trimmings, and then these are the items. So this is just a standard HTML table, and then you can add a little bit more around what happens next. So we've got some terms and conditions, a little bit about Zero BS Kitchens Limited. Again, it's a made up example just for the demo. So we're an OBS company that's fit kitchens that just work. No hidden costs from cowboy builders. You can read our reviews on TripAdvisor, and then a little bit about what happens next after the quote's been agreed. So that's my template for a quote, and I've done a couple already. So for quotes and invoices, this is managed via the client portal. So you'd need to effectively generate client portal access, and that's what this looks like. So this is our client portal, and I'm logged in as myself. So I'm logged in as the person that's received these quotes. So if we look at the quotes on here, these are the two quotes that I've created. So these are my quotes, and the actual process of creating the quotes. So you see you've got one that's been accepted on the 16th of May. And then there's a quote also for some additional work because I'm a little bit picky and I wanted some extra stuff. So that additional quote's in there, and I've not yet accepted that. So creating a quote, again, I can say I'm going to add a new quote. And so this will populate the quote management screen. So you see here that, again, I'm going to do it from me. Even more kitchen work. 300, the quote date today, 17th of May, and then I'm going to use the same template. So I'm going to use the quote builder, and then that populates from the template everything that I've just talked about. So but it puts my name in place. So if I did a quote for somebody else, it would put my name in place, and you can set up more variables for your quote. So I've just done the basic example. So in this one, I also want an oven extractor fan. Then I want some, what what else do I want in my kitchen? Quite like a fitted water to save me boiling the kettle. And then anything else? Yeah, one more thing. I would quite like a fee radio. So that's the quote ready. So then you save the quote. Take a minute to save. So the quote's been added. And then, so as admin, you can preview any of the quotes here. So this is the preview of the quote for me. So then going back to the client portal, you'll see that I've now got a new quote. So on the 19th, so the 17th of May, even more kitchen work. And you go on and you've got, this is what I've just filled in. So it's the rest of the templates exactly the same. And then as a customer, they'd see accept this quote. So they click on accept quote, quote's accepted. And then as a CRM admin, you'll see here now, if I go back to the quote list and refresh the page, that it's been accepted. So this is a little bit of an odd situation that I'm actually quoting for myself. So if you're, with me being the quote admin, then I've created this quote. So what happens in the CRM is well, then the customer logs in, they accept it, and then it'll go on and do what we call one of our system emails. So this is a new feature in version 2.8, so system emails, and it will automatically send to me, the quote owner, an email that the quote's been accepted. And then, so that happened, and then this is what it will say. Hi there, it's a notification email to let you know that your proposal, quote title, has been accepted. So if you're using this as a quote system, then once the user, which could be anybody, logs in and accepts, it'll email me and let me know that my quote's been accepted, and then I can effectively get on with the rest of the work that I need to be doing with this quote. So invoices are a little bit independent quotes. So what we tend to find people do is once they've got a quote set up like this with like an itemized list of things, then they'll be like, okay, I want to now put an invoice in place. So they've done the work, and then they'll get onto invoices. So before I go onto the invoices, I'll hop back again to see if we've got any questions on quotes. So, okay, got a few questions coming on around quotes. Woody's been doing a stellar job answering all these little questions. So someone's asking about e-signatures. The quote acceptance method right now wouldn't hold up in court. So hopefully no one will take me to court over my fictitious kitchen business, but that is a good point here about e-signatures. So there's a number of different solutions that could be used here. So like DocuSign or HelloSign or various different ones, and we're trying to find a good fit for effectively allowing somebody to electronically sign the quote. But the solutions we've found so far are actually more expensive than the CRM itself when you so it's quite a difficult one to find a good solution for. So I'm sure Woody can give you a little bit more of a reply that other people can feed in on, but that's a good question. The way that it's handling right now is through logging on. The email of you having a new quote goes to your email, and you're logging on using your credentials onto the website. So you're effectively verifying yourself through that way. But I'm sure there are other considerations around e-signatures under there. So that's a good question, Rick. We're trying to find a good integration where people can actually link in, and people that don't mind maybe paying for the additional cost of having something like DocuSign. But we're definitely open to feedback under that if anyone else has got any questions. Look at some of the others. So yeah, so that's most of the questions there. So I'll now go on to invoices. So I've created a few draft invoices already, again for myself. So just to show you how they work in the portal. So again, you've got invoices. So if you need to invoice somebody, this gives you the list of various different invoices that you've got. So I've created 4 invoices, and then viewing one here will give you, again, you log into the client portal, you're then authenticating yourself as the person that's authorized to accept quotes or pay invoices. So this is one, it was assigned, it's from our business that we put into the settings of Invoice Builder, and it's invoicing me. So I'll show you how this is generated, and we've got Invoicing Pro activated on this site. So this gives you the option to either pay with card, so this is Stripe, or you can pay with PayPal as the other option. So paying with Stripe, it just pops up and you'd fill in and pay, and then it triggers the invoice automatically being paid. But you can also do that via PayPal. So adding an invoice is, again, as straightforward as anything else in the CRM. So you go in and it populates your business information from the settings. So you can edit that in settings. You can choose another example. So invoice 5, receipts. And because I've got Invoicing Pro, I can say whether this is, and I'm using Stripe, I can say, is this actually an invoice for a subscription? And if it is, then it will populate the Stripe plans from your Stripe. So there's a lot of different options. So this is actually some example with our bundles. So if I wanted to have a Stripe business running for like a maintenance plan for our websites, you put your Stripe plans on, and then this gives you a way to sign up to effectively an invoice for a subscription. And I've also got active Invoicing Pro, which gives me this option here of quick adding an item. So I'll show you that in a minute. So again, I want to assign it to me, and I'm going to address it to the contact, and then quickly add my item there and save. So that gives you the invoice that I've just added. Just give it a second for it to load. So that's the invoice, and you can, again, look at it on the portal. So I created an invoice, it's invoice number 222. So there you go. So that's the invoice for this person. And it's what I've just created. It's my invoice item, invoice. And again, it can be paid online. We've got the download PDF, which is another option that's included in the core CRM. So that will just give you a PDF version if you wanted to have it for your records. Just give you another alternate, a PDF of the invoice which you've just created. You just check everything's still going okay. Can everybody still hear me? Okay, and so Graham's asked, oh good, it just went very quiet. I was talking to myself. So I presume the invoice gets emailed to the person automatically rather than using MailChimp, etc., which is more for mass mails out. Okay, so yes, it does. It'll get sent out via the same system as before. So if you go back to so system emails, if you choose to send the invoice, then it can go this way. So you can say actually, and all this like hashes and things are the templates that can be used. So it's easy if I click preview. So this will give you a preview of what an invoice email will look like. Some people, if they're doing it all via the portal, might want to change that. You received an invoice to say, please log on to your portal, and just include a link to the portal, or even, so then you could just say, please log on to your portal, here's the link, and copy in the URL to the portal, if you wanted to manage it all via the portal, but it can send email versions. So what else have we? So that's, yeah. a quick look at any other questions. A few things on date formats. Okay. So again, Woody's doing a great job, so keep it up, Woody. What else am I going to cover? So that's the whole invoice side, the client portal, just so that we don't go too much into our time. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to show of the CRM itself. So I wanted to move on to people are asking various questions about extensions and what we do with extensions. So we have a number of extensions available. So we've got around probably around 20 in total. So this covers, we've got a lot of different, looking at all the extensions. So you can have anybody, when you add a new CRM contact, it'll go straight to your MailChimp list, or you can integrate it with a help desk. We've got various different solutions. If you don't use MailChimp, we've also got ConvertKit at the moment. We've got other integrations in the works as well, and I'll get onto those in a minute. But generally for payments, Invoicing Pro is what I covered a little bit of around being able to pay using PayPal or Stripe, and also being able to add invoice items. So that I touched on before. You can go in and you can add. You can say, okay, if you're doing kitchens all the time, then it might be an extractor fan. PC, and then you have a standard price for that. So if you're always doing the same sort of invoices, then that will help. So you can automate that and it'll save you typing it out all the time. So that's in the Invoicing Pro. We've also got various analytics. So we've got sales dashboard. So when I showed you in the CRM of the dashboard here, that you've got this revenue chart, but we've also got a sales dashboard extension. So this gives you a more detailed overview of everything going on in your CRM. So this will show you how much revenue you've made in the last 30 days, and you can change the dates for any of this, and it'll automatically update. You can see on average how much does each customer bring into the business, which is useful for marketing. You'll be able to see, okay, then if people are on average bringing in $51 and I spend $30 to acquire that customer, then you're making a profit each time you acquire a customer. And also, you can see how many failed payments you've been getting. So if you've been seeing you've been getting a lot of failed payments, then is there something wrong with your card processor? And you can do whatever ranges you want here. Again, this is all demo data. So you can see here that we've started to get more failed payments recently. Is there any reason why that's happening? So it gives you a little bit more information around your CRM. So that's one of our popular extensions there. So that links, you don't need to do anything to set it up. It just runs off on what contacts you're adding, what transactions are being made in your CRM. And then the other one I wanted to, so we've got all the extensions are available and included in our extension bundle. So we're still running our, since we launched version 2, we've been running our entrepreneur package at half price. So generally we're keeping that open for a while until we get our version 3 out, which will be in probably about a month or so. So if you are interested in the entrepreneur bundle, then now would be a great time to grab that. And we also have a reseller bundle. If you're doing anything around, effectively, you have clients that may also benefit from this, then a reseller is a great option because it works out cheaper per install, and you can also brand it to your own like agency setup. So people wouldn't see any of the ZBS branding that's in there. It'll all be under your brand. But it also includes anything that we've got on our extensions coming soon. So we get a lot of feature requests about different extensions. So we've got automations, and Twilio and MemberMouse. These are 3 beta extensions that are fully operational. We just haven't yet done all the documentation for them. So I can show you how we go about using the automations. So automations is what I touched on a little bit with tags. So you've got the automations, and the reason it's in beta is we've not done a lot of our guides yet for it, but it's fully operational. So you can choose a trigger. So if you've got a new contact that has a tag, and so before I set up vegetarian and VIP, so you can say anybody that's a VIP status, then send me an SMS. So I want to know if a certain person texts me. Well, if somebody contacts me with VIP status, I can say, hi, Mike, name. So first name has just a contact. Please. And then you can send that to any number, so VIP SMS. So this uses Twilio and the automation. So if anybody is added to the contacts, so my contact list with a VIP status, then it'll text me about it, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to have to go and do something about this person. So you can use it for new contacts, new transactions. So you could say, okay, every time I make a sale, send me an email. Or if you're using this for leads, you can say, okay, if I get a new contact with status lead, then assign it to one of your CRM team. So you can manage this just yourself, or if you have a few people working with you, you can say all the new leads will go to this person. Or if you're using a bigger team, you can say distribute it across all of my customer managers. So you can do that via status, or you can do it if a field contains. So you can say if food preference was vegetarian, and distribute it, that person, to my customer manager, or assign it to the person that's got expertise with vegetarian menus, for example. So this is the automations extension. So that just runs and does a lot of things for you. So that's quite a powerful extension if you set it up with the various rules, and you can name them whatever you want to name them and view the ones that you've got set up. So I've actually done that twice. I've done the SMS one twice. So if VIP has contacted me, then send me an SMS, but also send me an email in case I'm not with my phone. And you can do it on the other events as well. So that's available in the bundle too. And I'll just quickly hop back to see if there's any other questions around extensions. Okay, so Rick said, is there a list of triggers, conditions, and actions? On the video, we don't see the drop-downs. So I'm probably going a little bit too fast there. So the list is, if I go back to the automations, the triggers are new contact, new transaction, new quote, new invoice, or new company. So effectively, if all the items I spoke about before, if any of that is added, then the conditions vary depending on the action that you choose, the trigger that you choose even, and then the actions, you can assign it to a user. You can send an email, and you can choose then whether you want it to go to the site admin, whether you want it to go to the owner of the contact. So if you've got an automation ahead of the email one, you could say, when I get a new contact with status lead, assign it to James, and then email James. So you need 2 automations for all that. Or you can email the contact. You can say, I've had a new contact, then you can automate the email. So you can say, hi from Mike, thanks for signing up. Here's our great info. And then that will go to anybody that's filled in, say, a contact form. Then you can say, anyone that has status lead, send them an email as soon as they fill it in to effectively say, great, thanks for signing up, here's this information. So there's a lot of different there's various different triggers and actions in the trigger section. But again, we're building new things in all the time to this, so it's part of the reason why we have it in beta, while we take on additional triggers. And we've got some recipes. We've got one recipe there right now, which you can say, I want it to automatically delete contacts older than 30 days. So that's independent to triggers, so that will run every day, and it requires a cron. So effectively there you're saying, I want to trim down my list. So you can turn it on, and then it will run every day, and any contact that's older than 30 days, it will automatically remove them. So that's another automation. So we're building on things into this all the time. So again, we are more than welcome for any additional feedback. And as a bundle holder, you'll be able to what was that question again? Oh yeah, so as a bundle holder, you'll be able to then obviously keep access to that extension as we develop it further. Bruno said, could you show us what are the additional options to declare that CRM is GDPR compliant? Okay, so Woody sent that guide through. There's actually a new version of WordPress coming out in, I believe, tomorrow, which is 4.9.6, which has a lot of built-in GDPR compliance stuff for your website. So things like the request to be deleted or erased, and there's a lot of different options in WordPress 4.96 that you can integrate with your website and be working with the CRM. So again, a particular example of how it might be used for GDPR is you could have a contact form, and you could be running an automation that, back here again, you could say, I've got a contact form that sends everybody in with a tag of erase. And then anybody that fills that in, it'll come through to you to then action that request. So a lot of GDPR is around making sure that you are responsive to their requests. So that's a particular example of how that could be done with the CRM. Okay, so there's quite a lot of questions going on, so hopefully people are still finding this useful. So when I've been going through this webinar, I've been covering a lot around this client portal and the things you can do with this. So this is running from our theme. So we've got a theme available that, well, it will be available soon. So this is what we're calling an agency theme, but it's a way of effectively running your, it's integrated with Zero BS CRM. So it's got integrations with various forms, and the client area is as shown in this demo. So if you're logging in, this is what it would look like if you're visiting the client portal as a client. I'm already logged in, and then this is what it looks like on the inside. So it's integrated on the front end with the client portal designs. So it's launching relatively soon, but for anybody that does purchase a bundle on the back of watching this webinar, and we're going to be offering the first 12 months free of this theme. So you can purchase, we'll send you a theme as a thank you, and you can use it for the first 12 months for free, and then you can decide whether you still want to keep using it or not. So Woody should be sending a link through there. So I think we're getting near to the end of the session now. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on any Q&As, but I will close down the various, again, just a little bit of a recap of, so extensions are available. If there's any extensions that you really would like to see, then our bundle does give you access to any future extensions as well. You don't have to purchase those on top of the bundle. So it's all of our new extensions, and we manage that via the coming soon page that we can share with you. We've got a lot of extension ideas already in the works. So someone asked about Talk To a second ago. So we've had quite a few votes for that. So we can share that, and if you cast your vote as well, then it does help us know what to focus on next. So there's a lot of different extensions, and then we've also got our roadmap. So we've released a few things quite recently. So the core system email templates is what I was showing you around whether emails are opened or not. So back to, that was this page. So you see that those 2 quotes are accepted, and then that will come through. And when the person opens it, when the quote manager opens that email, it marks it as opened in this list. So you can, that's what we've recently released. So we've got a lot of different, there's a lot coming with the CRM, and there's a lot of extensions. And so it's the perfect time to, if you've not already got the bundle, to grab the bundle. So if there's any other questions, I'll pick those up. Okay, so yeah, we've got, so Alvaro's asked, would it be possible to connect an external calendar with the CRM, like Google Calendar? That is something else that's been commonly requested. So on the coming soon page, we do have like effectively a calendar system. So, but we have a lot of users that effectively integrate with various other plugins. So the beauty of the CRM is you can connect it to any other plugin. So if you've got a good front end like calendar team booking system, and we've got some users on our case studies that use that with, I'll share the link to that. So they use CRM with various like front end team booking. So there's our case studies. So that will cover effectively, you will use a front end calendar for managing their appointments, which then, because it's linked to WordPress users, it can be followed through the CRM that way. And we're able to, coming next week is the ability to extend the client portal. So you'll be able to add an additional tab to the client portal with any shortcodes embedded that you may want to embed from other plugins. So rather than the CRM try and do everything that some other plugins do quite well, then that's one option. So that's coming soon. So most of the questions are picked up, I believe. Just jump back. Okay. So Zach's asked in the main chat, can you put the client portal into another theme using shortcodes? It uses endpoints at the moment. So, but you can copy the templates of the client portal into your theme, and then you can modify them through your theme that way, so you don't lose any changes that you may make. So if you're trying to use it with your own theme and you want to change how it looks out of the box, then you can do that through the template system. So you'd copy the files from the plugins portal templates folder into your theme, and then any changes there will then be reflected in your theme. So if you had a different theme you wanted to use, and you can do it that way. So that's how that will work. So Randy's asked, will you make available the QA along with the replay? Yes, so all of this is being recorded. So it will be, the replay will be delivered shortly after I end the session. And if there's anything that we've not answered, so we'll hang around a little bit and answer some of these questions. But on the whole, hopefully everyone's found this useful. And I will end my webcam now, so you can stop listening to my voice. I think I've just made myself, there we go.